Hello and good afternoon from the Fatu Network, and welcome to the News Review program. I am Fatu Kamara, and thank you very much for joining us. It's a rainy day in Banjul today, and the makeup artist can't make it, so we'll be fine though. We will start with the newspapers, and then after that we will bring you an interview. But right now, let's take a look at the Standard newspaper. And it says Charles Taylor's lawyer appointed the TRRC lead counsel. That's what the Standard newspaper is reporting. And it has the photo of the person who is appointed, and he is Mr. Isa Fall. He's the lead counsel. According to Standard newspaper, he's a lawyer for former Liberian President Charles Taylor and Saif al-Islam, son of Libya's Muammar Gaddafi. They are reporting that he'll be responsible for guiding the investigations of the TRRC, assisting the commissioners and leading witnesses before the commission. His appointment took effect yesterday, and it was announced by the Ministry of Justice and Attorney General's office. President Barrow urged to take tougher actions against strikers. That's also on the paper, and it is by the spokesperson of the Gambia Association, Suleiman Damfa, has called on President Barrow to take stiffer action against demonstrators and other people who, he said, intend on bringing anarchy in the country in the name of democracy. This person, I guess, is speaking amidst talks that there are going to be protest or strike actions by the teachers. There is word that the teachers would go on a strike, and also there are talks that there will be one by the doctors. And this followed after the Social Security protest strike, when they also said they were not going inside their offices until Modu Kamara is asked to report back to work. Gambia urged to tap into FOCAC to get bridges and roads. The Chinese are saying there's an opportunity for Africa to have that, and the chairman of the Chinese Railway Construction Company, Chen Fengjian, has told President Barrow that he should take opportunity of that so that we can have bridges and roads from their funds. But also there are reports that the Chinese citizens are saying, why give all this money to Africa? We also need money. We're also a third world country. That's also reported in an international newspaper that I saw yesterday. So a security MD says leasing of a hotel is detrimental, and they're talking about the Ocean Bay Hotel that was before the commission recently. 7 arrested for attacking teenage Gambian migrants in Italy. That's also on the Standard newspaper. And now the Point newspaper, China Africa Forum opportunity for bridges, roads in the Gambia. That's what we were just reading on the Standard. 6,000 euro deduction was not justified, and that's Mr. Mohamed Manjang saying that to the Janet Commission yesterday. And there's also dialogue on inclusive management security in border that opens in Banjul, and it has General Lamin Cisse talking about that on the Point newspaper. A new company to drill oil in 40 days. That's also some issue after videos came out of this issue. We're actually following it up for you, and once we're done, you will see a comprehensive report from us. Lead counsel for TRRC appointed. That's also on the Foria newspaper. Jammeh alone should account for the losses incurred by APHAM. That's the lawyer of Tony Getas, Sheriff Mari Tambidu, who was speaking at the commission yesterday, and he is saying that Jammeh alone should account for the losses. Senior counsel Sheriff Tambidu yesterday, the September 5th, 2018, addressing the commission on behalf of Tony Gatters, the former managing director of APHAM, submitted that the former president alone should be held accountable, because he is saying this whole office was set up by the former president. And of course, the Voice newspaper has Gambia to benefit from China Africa Forum. BAC awards 1 million, that's the Become American, so I guess awards $1 million a contract to GamWorks. Those are all we have for you in the newspapers today. Like we announced earlier, we will have an interview for you shortly after this commercial, and Omar Wali would also join us since he's back. This interview was supposed to come since sometime last week, I guess, but the person was very busy. Of course, they were very busy. They couldn't make it, but today they showed up here in our studios. And we will be talking to Honorable Mahdi Cisse. He's a National Assembly member for Serekunda West. He's here in the studios. We'll be asking him questions. And if you want to get into, you can call via Skype. And of course, I also have Dr. Ismail Cisse, who's also here in the studios, and we'll also be talking to him. So now, gentlemen, welcome welcome to the program, but we're going to take a quick advert, and when we're ready, we will start. Thank you.
Hey, what are you doing here?
I'm going to replace my AfriCell 3G SIM card.
Why use a 3G SIM card when you have a 4G phone? Replace your 3G SIM card today for the real AfriCell 4G SIM and receive 1 gigabyte of internet data for free.
Really?
Yes, get 1 gigabyte for free just by replacing your SIM card at any AfriCell outlet with no loss of contact. The cost of bundle from the 3G SIM card is the same for the 4G SIM. And guess what? With the 4G SIM card, you can also connect to the 3G network as well.
This is so cool. I'll replace my 3G SIM card right away to the real 4G SIM and receive my very own 1 gigabyte for free.
From AfriCell, it's always real and it's for free.
Where AfriCell goes, no one has the speed to follow.
Well, welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is the Fatu Network News Review Program. I am Fatu Kamara, and Omar Wari will join us shortly for an interview here. I have two gentlemen right here. Honorable Madi Sise. He's a National Assembly member for Serekunda West. He's right here. And I also have Dr. Ismaila Sise in the studio right here. So I'll be talking to both gentlemen about the recent happenings in the country. Gentlemen, welcome to the program. I will let you greet to viewers, and I will start with the Honorable.
Thank you very much, Fatu, for having me on your show, and hi to the beautiful viewers all over the continent and the world.
And Dr. Sise.
Thank you, Fatu, for the invite. Thank you.
But you know, I should actually start by asking you, where were you? And now I actually posted some photo, and people were like, why are you so quiet now? Are you scared?
No.
Okay, so we will get to that, but first we will start with the honorable member for the National Assembly for Serekunda West, Honorable Madi Sise. Welcome to the program. Recently, there's been a lot of talk against the President Barrow's presidency, and a lot of people are saying, okay, the people we should blame for this is the UDP because they're the ones who gave us Barrow. But we've also seen in instances where UDP will say Barrow is our Barrow, and when it gets really bad, they will kind of distance themselves. I mean, are you observing this?
Not quite, but I know Barrow is UDP, bad or good.
Okay, so you will. So do we say that some of the issues that we're facing in the country, for instance, people would say everything is slow, the teachers protesting, there is no communication, there's a lot of things that should be addressed that are not being addressed. Do we say that it's UDP's failure because you gave us Barrow?
I wouldn't totally agree to that. Governance is a whole network. When you talk about government, you don't talk about an individual. So this is a candidate that is given to the parties that came together to select a flag bearer in 2016. And he happened to win that, and then was the flag bearer for the parties that come together. So he is a coalition president from the UDP party. So if there's going to be any blame, I think squarely we all have to share it.
Yeah, but it's also a majority, like, you know, it is just now that when there was some movements in cabinet, but before that, we know that UDP was also the party that has majority of the, you know, the positions, the most important ones. And if you say it's a government, you're still a key player. So if it fails, or if it is failing, or people think it's failing, we would still point fingers at UDP.
You see, there is a clear separation of powers between the legislatures and the executive. And these two components of government was approached in two different ways. The president or the executive had a coalition approach, whilst the parliament has a partisan approach. So we don't have a coalition in the National Assembly, rather we have party representatives in the National Assembly.
Yes.
So that is it.
Yeah, in the National Assembly, yes, but I was talking about the government. But I will also talk to Dr. Ismaila Sise, and then we'll come back to you about the cause that were given by anonymous philanthropists, and you all accepted them. But Dr. Sise, we're not going to ask you about President Barrow here because we don't want to start another fight. But I want to ask you about the situation. Right now, there's a lot of things happening. We know that the FAB Foundation, the $752,000, the oil issue, the company that is supposed to be drilling oil here in about 40 40 days. All of these are major concerns to Gambians. Are you reading these situations, and what is your take, especially for the FAP Foundation, because a lot of Gambians are calling for it to be, shut down?
Well, thank you, Fatou. I think, yes, like you said, it's interesting times in Gambian politics. I think every week breaking news comes out of Banjul. So when it comes to the FAP Foundation, I think the circumstances surrounding that issue is really unfortunate. And I think every Gambian should be worried, because we've gone through 22 years of dictatorship and mismanagement of our resources. So I think it's an unfortunate situation, but I'm glad that the FAP Foundation said they're investigating. We're waiting for those investigations. But then what really is important is that if the FAP Foundation comes out and says that they cannot explain how the money got into that account, I think that should be also a case for the police to really investigate, because it could be anything. It could be a case of money laundering, it could be anything. I think a proper investigation needs to be done. And we cannot really delve much into the issue until and unless the investigations are ready and it is established and the circumstances under which the money is really deposited into that account is established, and then really we can make proper comments on that.
And I have my colleague Omar Wali is also here. He's just joined us from Abuja. He's back, Nigeria. So Omar, do you have any questions for them?
Yes, I will start with, Mr. Sisa, welcome. Thank you for we have seen, like Fatou said, we have seen over recently the anonymous 33 million. What are you doing, because like people said, it is the UDP National Assembly members that are keeping Barrow in power. What are you doing to make sure that this government is whole accountable?
I will first of all disagree with your assertion that it's the UDP NAMs that are keeping Barrow. It's the Gambians who voted in for Barrow, right, and not the 31 members of parliament in the House. So we are not keeping Barrow. It's the nation that are keeping Barrow.
Okay, let me
they like him to be their president.
Let me put it this way. In the National Assembly then, 31 of you, because you are the one representing Gambian people at the National Assembly. So, of recent, we have seen the anonymous donation. What is your stand on this gift, $33 million?
$33 million to who?
The FAP Foundation.
Before that one, and even the 11 million that was given to those who perform Hajj this year, according to the government, they said it was from a philanthropist from Saudi Arabia. You have been in the media. You have been somebody. Put quite simply, what is your stand as far as this 11 million? Let's start with that one is concerned.
I don't have any any specific position on that. Okay. If I have issues with that, I can use my parliamentary powers and pose a parliamentary question for an explanation. And the relevant person will come to the parliament and explain to Gambians who gave the 31 or $11 million to our pilgrims.
Okay, now, you were somebody who benefited from the 57 vehicles. And we all know they said it was from anonymous philanthropists. Why did you accept it? When other parties said they will not accept such things because they don't know the source?
Not others. Only one party rejected it. That is the
PDIS. Yes.
Apart from that, all other parties picked their cars. And I'm one of those who picked my car. And in fact, I used the very pickup to come to this studio.
I saw it outside.
Right? And my position is always the same. President Barrow never gave me a vehicle. It's the National Assembly Service that gave me the vehicle.
Through Barrow?
I don't know.
No, but the insurance...
I will always tell, I have my insurance in my car.
The insurance is on Barrow's name?
No, the insurance I have hasn't got Barrow's name. It's in my car. I always tell journalists they need to do their homework. If you approach me as National Assembly member, a recipient of the vehicle, and I said, look, for me, it's the National Assembly Service who gave me, because I went to the office and I signed to pick my keys from them, not from Barrow. Now, if you want to know who gave these vehicles, you go to the National Assembly, ask for the administrator, which is the clerk of the House. Where do you get the 57 vehicles from that you gave to your National Assembly?
It's not about where you get the key, it's about the source. We were That's
It
what
was
you're
in the
talking
news.
about.
It was in the news.
You
My
said
position is the same. For me, I
It
got it
seems
from the National...
you are just window dressing.
No, I got it from the National Assembly Services, and that was been my position ever since.
Dr. Cisse, let me come to you. If
Before you go to Dr. Cisse, just one question for the Honorable, and that is that 57 vehicles that you receive, one of which you receive, there are talks that the reason why National Assembly members cannot scrutinize this government and ask tough questions is because of the cars that you will receive, that you may be uncomfortable that if you say something, they will take it from you.
That's completely not the case. We have taken this government to task several times. We have rejected certain things that were brought to this government, by this government to the National Assembly. So these vehicles are nothing that can deter us from scrutinizing the government. Personally, I am a representative of the people. I owe it to my constituency and not to the government. Okay. They never voted me in.
Thank you.
It's the people of Serekunda West that voted me in, so I owe that obligation to them and not the executive. And I have been asking questions, I have been scrutinizing this government. I also have a medium, which is Daily News, that I have been putting critical questions to this government. So these vehicles are nothing that can deter me from functioning as a National Assembly member. I don't know of others.
That's very clear. Thank you.
a National Assembly, what do you make of this thing? That we, times upon times, you receive information or reports that this is from the president, and the National Assembly members are saying they did not get it from Barrow, but they received the keys from somewhere else.
I think it's very clear what Honorable said, that he, as far as he is concerned and his colleagues, they did not receive the gifts directly from President Barrow. They received it from the
National Assembly Services.
National Assembly Services. So I think the most important question here is we should ask is, these are two things. They received it from the National Assembly Services, but why did Barrow receive the gifts? And I think that is the million-dollar question. And I think that is the question everybody should ask.
So that means it's not them, but is the person that received the gift.
Exactly. So I mean, in the Constitution, it is allowed for the president to receive gifts, but the Constitution makes it specifically clear how that gift should be. How do you call it? How that gift should be. You know, there are procedures, legal procedures, how it should be handled. Now, what the National Assembly could do is, they, as far as they are concerned, they followed procedures if they received it from the National Assembly Services. Now, what are procedures were followed through in which the gifts were received? That is another question that every Gambian, even the National Assembly members, I think have the right to ask.
Okay, so we would continue with the Honorable. There is one issue that is out there. Omar Wali started that issue. Is the First Ladies Foundation. We understand that TBR put in $752,000 in that account on December the 18th, 2017. And on the same day, a transfer of $742,000 was sent to Portugal. So now people are asking questions. Is this something that the National Assembly will take, at least and ask questions? What does it take to do that? Because I know you all cannot go into the, the Assembly and start asking those questions.
Yeah. Well, my position on that is the National Assembly can ask questions, parliamentary questions for explanations. But like I always tell people, if if a crime is committed somewhere and the matter is not before the court, the judges cannot take actions. Similarly, with the National Assembly members, if people out there have enough evidences and reasons, they can talk to their parliamentarians on one-to-one basis, give them all the necessary informations, and then based on that, the member can act individually or also cope in others collectively. I'll give an example of SEMLEC contract.
Yes.
I was privileged to informations, get all the dossiers on it, and I single-handedly lead the course in Parliament. I posed parliamentary questions, and that led to a whole House agreeing to investigate the entire contract. And the Defense Committee has begun that investigations. So a similar thing can be done on the same issue. Pending that people out there can come and give evidence. You can only talk about something that you're really very au fait with and have all information, not only based on the social media.
Yeah,
because
but
otherwise you don't have the substance.
As a journalist, someone who, of course, when it comes to journalism, nobody can doubt you. But do you think that it was also ethical for them to receive money from a company that wants a contract in Gambia? Because TBA already...
No. Finally, that's unethical.
Ethically.
That's unethical. That is completely unethical. because the person has an interest.
Yes.
So if that is established, that this particular company wants to do this thing and they give him money, that is out of it. That's very unethical.
And Dr. Cisse, your take on the $752,000, I'm sure you must have seen it. You're not on Facebook, but you're on Twitter, and this issue is everywhere, people calling on the foundation to be closed. What is your take on that?
I think when it comes to the closure of the foundation, there are rules that govern existence of foundations. I mean, if the foundation is found wanting in terms of violating those rules, obviously perhaps that is something that could be considered. But when it comes to the money, like I said, it's not, well, the circumstances are still sketchy. I mean, the FAB says that they are doing investigations. And what we know and that we can ascertain is that somebody somewhere paid some amount of money into this account. The foundation came out to say that we don't know who and why the money was paid. So therefore, we must investigate how, because I mean, the money will not just go into anybody's account. That is why I said. That is why I said earlier that the police, because it could be a case of money laundering or anything. So the police also need to do their own parallel investigation to see to ascertain what happened. And I think this is something that. And then once those investigations are ready and we have full details, a comprehensive report of the conditions, the circumstances surrounding the transfer of this money, I think it is when really the debate can take place as to whether the FAB should be banned or whether we should reform, in fact, laws that that govern.
But the whole transaction points out to Tibia, and then we did our investigations and find out that Tibia wants the transmission and distribution services in Gambia project. So that's clear, that part.
Yes, like Honorable said, that is unacceptable. I mean, that smacks of corruption. If a company, especially an external company, has an interest, a business interest in the Republic of the Gambia, and that same company is paying that amount of money in a president's foundation, I think that can raise eyebrows. It makes Gambians become very suspicious of such dealings.
Oh my.
Yes. I will turn to Dr. now. I will not ask you where were you, or should I?
No, you don't need
to.
know.
Okay, now of recent you are on the president reacted. There were so many people where were you, but that's not important now. Your critics said you have an agenda. That's why you were always on the thorn of President Barrow and his government.
Wally, any man or woman who lacks an agenda is not living a worthwhile life. Everybody has an agenda. Whether you want to marry a wife, whether you want to travel, every human being has an agenda. Obviously, I have an agenda.
What is that agenda?
My agenda is, you see, before I go to my agenda, I'll just give you a real good example. If you travel from, you've been going to Germany and Father's been going to the US. If you travel from the fault line between developed countries of the West and Africa, it's not only defined by geography, it is also defined by time. If you travel the 7 hours you travel from Brussels to Banjul, you are transported almost 200-300 days back in time. To change that is my agenda. Look, we have problems in this country. If it rains, you see what's happening. So for me, the agenda is to see a more prosperous Gambia, a more developed Gambia where people with disabilities can live in the Gambia and given the same chance and being able to succeed in their own country. For Gambians to live in their own country with dignity, so that our children will not decide to sacrifice their lives and decide to die in the ocean to reach Europe rather than stay in their own countries. My agenda as a citizen is to have a Gambia that will be the envy of the whole world. A Gambia that Gambians can live in the Gambia and work and be prosperous and live with dignity. The exploitation must stop. The rich are getting richer in this country every day, and the poor are getting poorer. And this must stop. So that is my agenda. So obviously I have an agenda, and the agenda is to make sure Gambia is prosperous, successful nation where every Gambian can be proud of.
Are you going to throw your hat in the next election?
Do you have a hat on me?
Well, not here.
Well, you've asked me this question. I don't know why you always insist asking me.
Remember?
Yes, I know. But just so, yes,
like I told you,
I don't have a retentive memory, so that's why I'm asking, because I even forgot the name.
Of course, you know. He just wants to.
I think when is the next election? It's 2021. I cannot even tell you what will happen to me tomorrow, let alone tell you what will happen to me in 3 years' time.
Yes.
I think you can ask me that question 6 months before 2021.
Okay. Well, there's someone who just sent something right here for the Honorable, and he said, but it's the job of the National Assembly to question where Barrow got it from and where the clerk of the National Assembly got it from. They're saying it's just like when your 14-year-old daughter, who's an unemployed student, brings you a gift of 57 vehicles, you question her about the source, right? You don't simply say, I got it from my daughter.
Yeah, but if I said I got it from the National Army Services, and there is another group that didn't receive it, and we are 58 in the house, if I don't ask a question, others can ask. So, he's right, it will be asked.
Yes.
So, whether me or somebody else, any member of the National Assembly can ask the source.
If you're 40, like Fatu say, your 14-year-old daughter just committed something and said, Daddy, this is for you. So you will just receive, you will not ask the source. Where did you get it?
But you see, the 14-year-old old daughter is completely out of this scenario. The National Assembly Services is not a 14-year-old.
No, we are just giving an example.
No, you can't compare them. You can't compare them. This is an institution that has been functioning here for over 30 years. So I cannot compare that with a 14-year-old child.
Who brings
So please just forget about that. I will not take that. I can't compare the two. A 14-year-old and the National Assembly Services, National Assembly that has been here for over 40 years.
They were just saying, questioning the source of something before you just receive.
Yeah, but these two are different. I am getting this from the National Assembly Services that has been in existence for more than 40 years. You are telling me a comparison of my 14-year-old daughter bringing in something for me is quite different. If my 14-year-old daughter brings that, I will ask. But this is a much older daughter.
Much older,
much older daughter.
Much older daughter. You have been here for a very long time. What do you think the government should focus on? What should be the immediate priorities? We have seen at least some bottlenecks. So now against December, what do you think should be government's main priorities?
The priorities of this government should have been to fix our bad roads, especially the rural Gambia. I know in the urban Gambia there is a lot of bad roads here, but the rural is completely neglected. Cross from Barra, just leave Bunyadu and get to the Hakalands. Has been there for years, since 1965. Go to my own area, the Tumanas and the Kantoras. There has never been a good road in those areas. Once you leave the main road, you are off-road. Even the Kiangs, leave the main road, go inside. It's terrible. For me, the priority should have been fix our roads, fix our health systems, which are also in horrible conditions. Let people have decent hospitals where they can get medicines and get cured, fix the roads. That would have been my priority, because you can't do all within a short period, but that would have been my priority. And I would have advised this government to take that as a priority.
Can I just ask you, if, as I know you're not UDP, like you're not the whole of UDP, you may not be the one who make the decisions as well, but you're also a very prominent member of the UDP. When it was tough and people don't even want to be associated with any party, you were there. Because I do follow you on Facebook, and we all know what happened to your son. Very unfortunate situation there. But are you proud of your Barrow right now as the country is going?
I am very proud of our Barrow.
With all the failures?
Of course, yes.
But how?
There is no human being that can go without failure.
Yeah, but we cannot.
I am really very proud of our Barrow. Barrow is our Barrow, like I told at the beginning, bad or good. President Barrow is our Barrow, because we are the ones. He was our candidate when we were vying for this position. So he's ours. We cannot abandon him. You cannot abandon your child.
But then help him, because what is happening? Let me finish. What is happening right now is a sign of incompetence. That's what the hashtag online that Barrow can't govern. So if UDP is there, and we all know there are very smart, very good people among UDP, then maybe you are not helping him. You are isolating him.
No, we are helping. I can quite agree with you. For me, I don't like making a news item comes out today and tomorrow is corrected. I don't like it. It has been happening. Make a statement, come back, then they rectify the statement. And many other things. I quite agree with that. But then he's still our Barrow.
But your Barrow is failing.
Well, that's your opinion. That's your opinion. And you have right to that.
So when is the UDP, when is your next Congress? Because there are talks that you will put up Barrow as the president. Did you hear anything like that?
Because we have not gone to the Congress, nobody can preempt the Congress. This weekend, an executive will go around the country to sensitize our grassroots as a prelude to the Congress. Hopefully in December we'll have a Congress. So those answers, I think we will have to wait until December.
Okay, and we did see, Dr. Cisse, in the newspapers from the IEC that they have no information about elections in 2019. That means that most likely it's going to be in 2021. So do you see these things changing? Like maybe Barrow could wake up one day and say, okay, I'm going with the agreement, let's have early elections.
But you see, I think we have to understand one thing. The Gambia has a fixed term election according to the constitution. That election takes place every 5 years. Now, even if President Barrow wakes up one morning and said, I'm going for 3 years, we cannot have elections in 2019 if the constitution...
We cannot call for early elections?
Because the constitution doesn't provide for that. You see, the whole spirit of the MOU is to have a new constitution before the 3 years ends, which could allow for, which could usher in a fourth republic, and then allow for fresh elections. But once there is no new constitution, once the current constitution is the constitution, it doesn't allow for early elections. It's a fixed term, meaning that election takes place every 5 years in this country. So what I'm trying to say is that until and unless there's a new constitution, there is a referendum, there's a fourth republic, and a constitution which allows for early election 2019, yes. But as long as it is the current constitution we are going to go by,
we cannot have elections in 3 years. No. It will have to be in 2021. It seems, Omar, we have a caller.
Yeah. Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, it looks like we cannot hear that person. I will let Omar ask. Otherwise, I have another question for Madi and for Honorable Madi, and that is, hello? Okay, we don't have the caller as now yet, but if Barrow wants to go on a second term, do you think your Barrow, would you support your Barrow for a second term?
The Congress decides. Our party.
No, I'm saying you.
Our party will decide that. I don't want, like I said, you cannot make me preempt what the Congress has to. Even the much rumored Dabo, who people are saying he wants to be the president, he'll always tell, look, 2021. Who said he's going to be here 2021?
That's what Dr. Cisse just said. That's how politicians speak.
He said, look, when we reach there, we'll cross the bridge. We haven't reached that point yet.
So, but here is a guy, he is your Barrow. You're proud of him. He's doing great, and he should do a second term, right?
But our party is bigger than Barrow. We have 1,001 Barrows, or even better than those who are better than Barrow. Our party is bigger than Barrow.
So what's the relationship like? Because right now there are talks that Barrow kind of put UDP on the side. He doesn't consult with you all a lot. He has his Barrow youth movement, and he has all these good friends around him. Is that true?
That is not true. That is not true. Barrow cannot just put the UDP aside. No. That's not true.
So why don't we have the same youth group? He has the Barrow. But why the Barrow youth movement then?
The Barrow youth movement, which the main Barrow organization cannot take that as a political body. We have told him in his face that we can run a parallel movement. The UDP is an organized party, has a youth movement, and we are fine with that.
But he didn't change. He didn't stop it.
Yeah, but that has not. That is not a UDP. No, but that is not a UDP movement. That might be Barrow's youth movement, but not UDP's movement.
But he still has it after you talk to him.
He can have it, but that is his movement, not the party's movement. We have an organized youth movement.
With a simple answer will do. Can you tell me with straight face that the relationship between Barrow and UDP is wholehearted?
It's
excellent. Of course, yes.
Really?
Of course, yes.
Are you sure?
I'm sure. We're talking to him, he's talking to us. What else? These are the people's rumor. Let them keep rumoring until we get there.
Okay, let them keep rumoring until we get there. Dr. Cisse, of course, is also here. Let's see first if we have a caller on the line. Hello?
TAF Africa Global is pleased to launch Dalaba Housing Estate. Dalaba Housing Estate is our newest estate located on the Sukuta Jabang Road. You can buy a finished 2 or 3 bedroom house or service plots accompanied with a free fence and gate. At Dalaba Housing Estate, you get to enjoy bituminized roads, gated and fenced properties, solar street lights, water reticulation, public amenities, 1,500 fruit trees aligned in streets and many more. Make a 40% down payment today and spread the balance conveniently for 10 years with GTBank, EcoBank and Trust Bank. Terms and conditions apply. Wait, this is the best part. We are giving a discount on outright payments. For more information and exceptional service, please call our office line on +220 4410 233. Better still, Call us on mobile or via WhatsApp on +220 376 2333 or +220 776 2333. You can also visit our website on www.tafafricahomes.com. TAF Africa Global. Our experience is global. Our focus is Africa.
Well, thank you very much. If you're just joining us, I am Fatu Kamara, and this is the Fatu Network News Review Program. I am right here with my colleague Omar Wali, and of course, we have two guests, Honorable Mahdi Cisse and also Dr. Ismaila Cisse. He's also here with us in the studio. And Honorable Cisse, I'm going to go back to you. We have about 5 minutes, Omar, before we wrap up this interview, because both gentlemen have very busy schedules. There were talks of impeachment. Like I said, when things go really not the way that most people want, they will turn around and say, but why is the National Assembly not working on impeachment? What does it take to impeach a president?
You need a 2/3 majority. That's about 36 members to impeach a president.
Yeah, because most of the time they'll be like UDP. If they get pissed off with Barrow, they will impeach him.
Well, we can't with our number, unless we get people who will
from the
join
GDC.
us. Otherwise, we alone can't do it. But then, if we want to do it, we have to really do a little bit of convincing few people to join me. Probably the GDC company joyously jump and join us. But even there, it will be 35, I think. No, 36. Yeah.
It will be about 36 members
that
to do
okay.
that, and UDP is not up to that, right? No. Yes, I remember. Well, Dr. Ismaila Cisse, now that you are back, I know you were away when all those drama was on, and myself, I saw something, emails of threats for you, and I've also got calls from people who are saying maybe you should tell Ismaila to do this unless they were scared for you. But since you got back, do you have any issues with that, got you worried or something?
No, I mean, I've been going about doing my business peacefully. Gambia is a peaceful country, people know that. But I have not experienced any problems as such.
Yeah, so he has not experienced any problems as such. Omar, before we wrap this interview, do you have any other question?
No.
Yeah, see, Omar is not very ready yet. You know the tough questions that he asked. I'm sure that's going to be coming by next week. But Mahdi, thank you very much, Honorable, for your time. So are we going to see Lawyer Darboe being put up for president next in 2021, or we don't know yet?
Congress will decide. For our party, the Congress will decide.
Yeah, but I heard that the Congress would be, but what they would do is just to name executives, and then they will, the Secretary General would not be mentioned.
Our leader and Secretary General of our party will really be automatically our flag bearer. So come December, Congress, whoever is elected as the leader and Secretary General.
Let's get that clear. You said what and what will automatically be your party?
I said come Congress, anybody elected as the leader and Secretary General of our party, our great party, United Democratic Party, will automatically be our flag bearer.
But I spoke to Darboe not long ago, and he said being the party leader and being the presidential candidate of the party are completely different things.
Being the party?
Being the Secretary General of the party and being the presidential candidate of the party are two completely different things.
Well, that's his opinion, but I'm telling you, and take it from me, and go back to history. That will be enough. Do more work on it.
Of course, I'm doing more work.
Yeah.
Well, Omar, yes.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, so I just want to ask both gentlemen one question, and that is so far how they have seen how things are running in the country. I'm very frustrated about something because there don't seem to be a system in place, especially there is no kind of control. Like everything is just out there. Is that not a concern for us?
Big concern.
That should not be a concern?
Big concern indeed. Particularly my own concern is the way rents are going up, and the upfront payments, prices of commodities. It's a cause for concern.
Yeah. Everything is just skyrocketing, no control. People are trying to be, cheat each other, dishonesty. I mean, it's very scary. Did you notice that as well?
Yeah, I think the whole system is schizophrenic in the sense that, you don't even know what's happening. Things are, some things, in some I was discussing with the Honorable that in some areas we can be proud. The Gambia will never go back to dictatorship. We'll never go back to self-perpetuating rule. We'll never go back to where we'll be intimidated to be quiet and not discuss national issues and issues that affect us. But at the same time, people's livelihoods are endangered. I mean, things are hard. living standards are falling, and inflation is not halted. And then really things are bad. Our education system is falling. Health sector is on the verge of collapse. And so many things are happening that really we Gambians really need to understand that these are our problems and really stop the petty talk, stop the things that just divide us that are not important, and focus on the more important issues of making life better for the majority of Gambians in this country.
Yes, and someone was asking what are we doing about it rather than being frustrated. I don't know if is there anything anybody is doing about this situation, because everything is just like open like that. Investors will come to the country, they will tell you there's no system. What are they going to follow? They will get frustrated and they will go back. And you talk about all of these things, people may think, oh, they don't like Barrow. Let me just make this clear. Nobody hates him. We don't hate him, but there are things that should be done, and he's the leader, so it should be pointed to him, right?
Quite right.
Yes,
when there is a government in place, everybody look upon that government. If there are things that are not desirable, you cannot blame the citizens, you blame the government for that.
Exactly.
I think people are right, and those criticisms should just keep coming, and then make sure that they are corrected.
Well, gentlemen, thank you all very much. Recently, Lai Sen, and that's the last one, who was also a National Assembly member for Banjul, made some remarks which a lot of people think he should be arrested for. He was called in and he was taken to court. What's your opinion on that?
Well, I think the police have done a good job, because those kind of things, if we allow them to go, we can find ourselves in anarchy. Because one person cannot just come and insult the entire tribe. If it happens, the other tribe does the same thing, we find ourselves in a situation that is not desirable. I think we need to really stop those kind of things, and then I don't expect that to come out from an ex-member of the National Assembly, really.
But Ismail Abeni is saying that happened before. There was a woman who caused out the Sarahules, I think, or the Jolas, and nothing happened. But I guess everything has to start somewhere.
Yeah, I think it's important that, I mean, first of all, I would like to take this opportunity to condemn those remarks by Honorable Sen. I think every peace-loving Gambian should really condemn those remarks, because this is how Rwanda imploded in 1992 because of hate speech. So I think, like Honorable said, the police are doing their job. We don't want to preempt the investigations. Let them do their job, and then. But we should. I mean, I think it's the responsibility of every Gambian, especially the media, the journalists, even we academics, to make sure that we preach peace. Yeah. To make sure that we tell people to refrain from hate speech, because we're all Gambians at the end of the day. So this is our country. This is where we have. We don't have anywhere else. And for me, it doesn't make sense that we should start dividing ourselves between the us and the thems and destroying our country, not only for us, but also for posterity. Because when they come, what we leave behind for them. So I think the police really they should do their job thoroughly to make sure that these things. But one thing we should understand also is that arrests and trials and convictions will not take the problem away. The problem is deep-rooted. We need to do a lot of civic education, a lot of sensitization, and so that we can nip the problem in the bud. But I think this is a right step in the right direction.
Okay, well, thank you all very much for your time. Really appreciate. And for those of you who are saying I should hit the gym, I definitely will do that for you. Thank you all until we come your way again. I am Fatou Camara.
And I'm Omar Wali.
Thank you.
Most welcome.
That's it.
Okay. Hey,
okay.
journalist, okay.